So, hi everyone, my name is Federico, and welcome to the Cuttle's Livestream. Um, so, today I prepared some stuff. I baked some cookies because I wanted to show you how to make 3D printed cookie cutters. I tried a few different things, and I wanted to show you what I learned. So, I think we should get started with something like really basic. Um, and I'll show you my results. Maybe we can eat some of the results at the end. So the basic idea with cookie cutters is you get an outline, and then it should have like a handle, like something like this. This is like the first one I made as a test. So I just made a square, and then it should have like a section here that is like, that's the cutting part, and then a little section that is the handle. Um, I got a lot of the dimensions for these from these. There is this website called CookieCAD Designer. So here you can like upload an image, and for example, or you can start with like a blank image like this. So it's pretty neat. Like it shows you the kind of shape of the dimensions of the cookie cutter, and then it gives you some options here here on the left for like the blade and the thickness of the blade, and then the depth of the blade, and so you can change these here, and then it updates that. So it's pretty nice. It gave me like a good starting point for like figuring out the dimensions. Um, so like I'll show you the dimensions that I used and like the different kind of results that I got. So let's start with like a blank project. I'm gonna call it the cookie cutter. And then I'm gonna change the project to millimeters, because for 3D printing, it's easier to work in millimeters in general. So if you need to do that for your project, you can go to units and settings here on the left, and then you can change the units, the default units of the projects to millimeters. That just makes everything the default. You can still work back and forth between inches and millimeters, but I kind of like working like this for 3D printing. So for the first square I made, I just started with a simple, like, roughly 1 inch square. So that would be like, 24.5, but let's do 24 millimeters. I could even type millimeters here if it's like nicer to understand. So, I'm gonna do one without like parameters or anything, just to like kind of run you through the basic idea. So the basic idea is that we want like a cutting blade. So in order to do that, I can select the hair. I can change the stroke of the square. So I'm gonna change it to blue, and then it shouldn't be a hairline stroke. It should have some width. From the CookieCAD designer, I got that a good width for this would be 0.8 millimeters, and I tested it, of course. So, and then the other thing it's kind of optional, is like 0.8 millimeters is not very much, but the alignment of that stroke, like by default, the alignment of the stroke is like right on the center of the line, but you can change the alignment here to outer. So you can see that now it does it on the outside. That might be a little bit more precise. And optionally too, we can make the corners square if we want, but again, it's so, that's not the corner, sorry. The joint, if I change it to miter, the corners get pointy. Also kind of optional. And so if we were to 3D print these, so we go to File and then Export for 3D printing, then this is what we get. Here we can select kind of like the height of that. So I was doing like 10 millimeters for that. So these would do. This would give you like the thing you need to cut. But we could do, we could add like that little handle. So what I'm gonna do is duplicate the same rectangle. So now I have 2 copies. And instead of 0.8 for the width. I'm going to make it bigger, but let's change the color so we can see the difference. I'm going to make it green. And notice how the one I duplicated got like on top of the blue one. So I want to take it, here on the inspector on the right hand side, I can like drag it and get the order right. So I want the green first and then the blue one. And actually for that green one, I want the joints to be round. I think that's kind of like a little bit nicer to handle. And then I was using a handle width of 4 millimeters. That kind of makes sense. If you want to check on the screen roughly the size of your cookie cutter, you can always go to View, and then there's an option that says Zoom to real size. So it will give you this prompt where you can sort of calibrate the size of your screen, and then you can put a card on the screen and then move it until you get the right size, or even a ruler right in front. I believe the screen for me is 93. You only need to do this once, and then this is going to show you roughly on the screen the size. So then with these, I did export for 3D printing again, and so notice now that I have like a lip that is the handle, 3 millimeters in fine, and then I did like a 10 millimeter for the blade, and that's the one that's the first one I made. I can show you. So it looks like that. So you can see that I got a 3 millimeter handle is like sufficient to hold it. Then the 0.8 millimeter for the thickness seems like sufficient here also for the cutting. Yeah, and then the total height, 10 millimeters. I got lazy and I got like some kind of pre-made cookie dough, and they recommend to do a 1/4 inch thickness for your slab. I did get some Play-Doh over here just to show you some tests with the cookies. Play-Doh, or this modeling clay I have here, is a little bit more sticky than actual cookie dough. That's a good view. This is fine. But I think that the nice thing about having the handle is that when you press it in, then you actually have a way to grab it, and so then you can get your shape right away. Then again, cookie dough is a little harder to get out of these shapes, but you might be making cookie cutters to play with Play-Doh as well. But this is my first test. So that is the basic idea. That's what we can sort of do. So let's try a different one, just to, but now with some parameters, so we can make it more interesting. Let's make a star. So let me start. I'm gonna delete these. I'm gonna start it from scratch. I'm gonna be reusing these numbers so much, the thickness of the blade and the size of the handle, that I'm just gonna make them into parameters. So I'm gonna create a new parameter. I'm gonna call it the blade thickness, and then I'm gonna create another one called the handle thickness. And so for the blade, I was using 0.8 millimeters, and then for the handle, I was using 4. I don't think I'm gonna be customizing these, but they're just convenient to have there as parameters, so I can just keep on using them. So the way in which I would kind of structure this, if I wanted to make a more variable kind of thing, is something like this. I would create a component. So I'm gonna place this star right on the center. Then I'm gonna scale it to roughly the size that I want, and I think I made this next one 24 millimeters. I did give it rounded corners, just 1 millimeter or so. And so then that would be my one component. I'm going to call it the shape. And then I'm going to create another component that is the cutter. So instead of duplicating the shape, I can just drag copies of the shape. So this is what I mean. So for the shape, I'm gonna drag the shape into my cutter component. And so this one is the stroke is not a hairline. I'm gonna make it blue just to distinguish it. And then the width of the stroke is gonna be the blade thickness, which is 0.8. Then I'm gonna drag another instance of the shape. And then that's gonna be the stroke. I'm gonna make it green, is not hairline, and it's gonna be the handle thickness. And then again, I did that one after, so I need to reorder things. So I need to like move it down here. What the reason I'm doing that is that if I were to keep it, with the green one on top, would this work? Well, let's see, actually. Yeah, so if I do the green one on top, notice how, because there is like a flatten in the background, then I don't get the smaller thickness for the blue. But if I have the blue on top, let me show you, then the blue has the blade thickness, which is what kind of matters for us. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I did this one 10 again. Download 3MF. I can show you, actually, let me show you real quick here what it looks like on the slicer. So I can move this over here. I have a little Prusa. So when I go add a file, this is the last one I just downloaded. It's gonna tell me that like there are multiple objects, which is fine because my printer just has one color, but I can say yes. And this is what the little cutter looks like on the bed of the printer. I can slice it. That's what it looks like. I use the default settings like, quality, version, pretty default. And this is what that little star looks like. So, oh, you know what? There's something a little different. So with the handle, I again did the thing where instead of having the stroke on the inside or centered, I put it on the outside. So then you get these. Yeah, notice that like the star goes all the way through. Anyway, so these were just tests. They were like too small really to use as cookie cutters. But let's make an actual like cookie cutter that I actually tested. So the reason to do this setup the way I just did it was that like, now that I have these, you can just say change the shape. You can like change the shape component to anything else. So let's say if we want a polygon that is like, 40, then our cutter is like ready to go as a polygon because those are like connected. Let's make a paw now that we have kind of established the sort of workflow. So I could simply add a paw here in the shape. So I added we can add an emoji, and then I use this paw outline, and then I can make it like 30. And then these sort of produces this could work. This actually would work. Let me see what it looks like 3D printed. Kinda, not quite. So the way I set it up right here, the shape itself should have no holes. I'll tell you why. So if I do this, remove holes, and then let's give it no fill. And then let's give it a... So this one works better. If the shape has no holes, then I could just create a simple paw print. But I wanted to create something that had the inside holes, or like the inside kind of dimension. So this one, this is the workflow for making just like outside shape kind of thing. And this should work for any like emoji that you want to do. So for example, if we want this angel, that should work for cutting an angel. or if we want to change the emoji to like a tree, a Christmas tree. Something like this would make a nice cookie. That would be a nice cutter. But I wanted to make one where like we would have like an inside and an outside. So I think that required a little bit more processing. So let me make that version. So I'm gonna go back to the paw. Maybe I should start from scratch actually. No, let's keep it this way. I don't want the remove holes here. So I think one way to approach it is to create like an inside shape and an outside shape. So what I can do for the paw here is to go to edit, and then there is an option convert to paths, which turns it into a compound path. But I can right click, release the compound path. And so now I end up with like one path is the outside. So I can separate that. So I can right click it and then extract as component. So that gives me a component here that I can call the outside. And then here I can delete. Yeah, I can delete that. Now I end up only with the inside. So I can call this one the inside shapes. So now when I'm gonna just reassemble my cutter entirely. So I want the outside for the handle. So I'm gonna give that outside a stroke. Let's make it green. Not hairline. We want that to be the handle thickness. And I was kind of going with the outside alignment. All right, so that's one. Then I'm gonna use the outside again, but for this one, I'm gonna use the stroke blue, not hairline, and that would be the blade thickness. So that works. And now I want the inside shapes to be kind of like their own thing. So I'm gonna bring them in, and I'm gonna give them a fill. Let's call it pink. And then let's double check how this is gonna look for 3D printing. So yeah. So let's change the order because I want the pink to be before the blue. So it's a little bit inset. So I just put the pink before the blue, and then let's check it again. Okay, so this is what I mean. You can see that I can do the blue, and then the blue is gonna stick out more, and then the pink is gonna remain behind. So the order there matters. But then, as you can see, the pink is completely separate from everything else. Like there is this like gap. So I need a way to join those. So in order to join them, I can create like something else that is green. So I can draw some lines. So what I ended up doing was like, for example, if I draw a line from here to here using the pen tool, and then I give it again like the handle thickness, and then make it green. And make sure the order is correct. Like I just bring it all the way to the bottom. You'll see that I don't have to do any additional operations. I can go to export for 3D printing, and everything that is green gets joined. So that gives me the join between those two. So I got these shapes joined with that line, but I think I want another section to join the two outside toes. So let's do an arc. So I could place an arc. Actually, let's just do this one. So if I do it like these, ooh, that's too much. No, I want it just on the toes, something like that. And that arc needs to have the same settings. Handle, bring it all the way down. Maybe I made this too small. Okay. And And then I'll do another line across like this. So let's make it green. Let's give it the handle thickness. And let's bring it all the way down. So that green section should kind of join all the shapes and give it like some support. So I went ahead and 3D printed. And then we want to like select the heights. So I ended up doing this like 4 millimeters and then 4 for the blade. Like 7 maybe. Yeah, something like that. So I get enough blade, but then I have the imprint of the paw. So this is what that one ended up looking like. So as you can see, I get this support on the back, then I get the print, and I tested this one, and this is what it kind of gave me. So the dough will expand a bit, as you can see. Like the actual cookie at the beginning was like this size, and then it gave me this kind of print, which was okay. I didn't realize like the inside paw was gonna like puff a little bit with the baking, but I thought I could do better. And so I ended up doing something slightly different with that, because I thought like maybe an outline rather than like a full pressing of it would give me a better shape. Like it looks really nice. I mean, let's try it on Play-Doh. Like it looks really nice when you do it like these. Oh, again, Play-Doh is not particularly forgiving. Like the cookie dough is like okay, that got stuck in there. Cookie dough is way easier than this. It will come out. But also like that's a good design constraint to think about, the way it will stick in there. Okay, that one's stuck. Let's try. Let me show you the other one. So I thought it would be nice to instead of having the paw itself be like a flat surface, I thought it would be nicer to just make it into an outline. So the change is relatively simple. I can change it from a fill into a stroke. And then if I make it blue and give it the blade thickness, that should be sufficient. Like, but then again, we want to keep it, like if I were to do it blue, you'd see that then the blue is all at the same height, but we want it to be a little different. So instead of blue, I can make it pink. And now when I check it out for the extrusion, I can leave the pink behind and then have the blue do the final cut. And I could also just make it bigger. I ended up 24 wasn't enough, so I ended up doing a 50 millimeter. So I'm gonna do both the inside and the outside. That definitely changes. Let's change the scale a tiny bit to bring it in. So changing the size definitely changed the way this structure was done. So I need to kind of come back and redo it here. Let's redo it real quick. I don't think I'm optimizing this specifically for making it into a template, but just kind of like trying to show you the process. I think I did this arc a little lower. Anyway, this works. So I ended up with something like these, where like and let's make these taller and these taller. I did like 7 and 4. So you can see that I get the inside to be an outline, and that gave me a much cleaner cookie. So this one is this one, because like the print looks nice, but then the inside of this outline just kind of puffs up. Like when I put them side by side, I think they're both cute, but like I think this one gave me like a much cleaner. Actually, this is a better example here. This is the outline, and this is the imprint. So with that kind of learned, with the idea that like, you know, the outline is actually much better than a full print, I wanted to try some text. Yeah, let me show you. I did do, okay, let me show you how to do the text because I'm gonna run out of time. Let me create a new component and we'll call it the text. So I wanted like a bigger cookie, and I wanted it to have like a sort of interesting shape. So I'm gonna start with a circle used as a guide. And I was thinking like 45 millimeters would be decent. So, and then I didn't wanna just like a plain round shape. So I added like a circle, say 12. And then I rotated it around with the rotational repeat. I think 12 is about right. To give me that kind of like scalloped look that I can just kind of Boolean union this whole thing. So that gave me the basic shape of the cookie. So now I can call it the shape. I'm going to create a new component where I can like reuse that shape. So same operation, I have the shape, stroke, green. I'm going to go a little faster since it's pretty much the same. So that one was the handle thickness. We'll do it on the outside. Then I'm going to drag that shape again. Then this one is going to be blue stroke. We're going to call it the blade thickness. Then I wanted some text in the middle. So I ended up thinking, doing the text within box or the fit text. So I'm going to place it in there and I'll just size it to fit inside of the whole cookie. So I did try one with a regular font, but the font that ended up working better in my case was the like a single line font. I used Pinsetter, this one. And so, let's type the text. So I ended up doing one smart cookie. The Pinsetter looked much better as uppercase. So I'm gonna just make it uppercase here. It's more readable, I think. So I'm gonna make it fit in there. So here's the thing. So I could give it, I could make it pink, give it the blade thickness for the stroke. But then all that text needs a place to live. I could do a bunch of lines, which would be a good way to do it, but I decided to risk it and just do a circle that is all filled green. I honestly thought this wasn't going to work, but I was surprised that it worked. So let's make it big enough that it covers everything and then just shape it like that. Maybe I don't want the stroke. So these works like, hold on. So if we were to 3D print it, we changed the order first. The pink needs to be before the blue. There you go. And very importantly, you need to flip the text because this is basically a stamp. So what you can do is select the text and then go to edit. And then there's an option called flip horizontal. And that's the one I did like this. So I thought this wasn't going to work because like when you press the cookie, then it would create like some vacuum. But I actually got some pretty okay results. Like, check this out. This is these 0.8 millimeters, of course, like expanded a little bit, but it's still readable. The one I didn't show you how to make is pretty much the same, but I use a different font. this is not a line font. This is a line font. This one looked really good when I pressed it, but like it really, it wasn't, I mean, it works, but it wasn't like quite as readable. So I really recommend the single line fonts. Make my desk a little greasy. I'll clean it later. So single line font, pretty good. Bonus that I'm not gonna show you how to make it, but like just to show you the test before I move on and eat a cookie, is that I wanted to do the Cuttle logo. So my first attempt was like these. I did the same version where like, you know, I did kind of like the pink scissors, and then I made just a couple of lines to support the scissors. So I did this one. So that one leaves, you know, like a negative print. And it looks okay, you know, for the scissors. But then I thought like, why not make it the opposite? So this is, you can see the difference here. This one leaves the scissors as a negative print, and this one like creates a positive value. And that one gave me a much nicer kind of look. I think this one, you know, because like the final shape ends up being like puffy. Maybe should I quickly show you how to do it? No, you can figure it out. So anyway, I hope that was like, that was a good kind of like showing you all my failures and successes. And the final cookies turned out pretty good. The thing I used here was just PLA. That's what I had. I think PLA is fine. You can like wash it. Like the cookies get baked, so like at the end you don't end up with any like PLA residue. Okay, let's eat a cookie. When I eat one of these cute paws. All right, so Merry Christmas. I hope you have fun making some 3D printed cookies. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.